Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the CS Ansar YouTube channel. Just to introduce myself, I am Sarthak Garg, a practicing current accountant, and today I will be discussing in brief the key amendments under GST which have been proposed in the Union Budget 2021. So, the first ever paperless budget was presented by the Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharamanji with a focus on six pillars, including health and well-being, physical and financial capital, infrastructure, and innovation. So, such focus has been in order to energize the economy, which has been battered by the COVID-19 pandemic. So, the Honorable Finance Minister in the budget speech stated that the government has taken several measures to simplify GST. So, some of the measures include facility of filing nil return through SMS, the introduction of QRMP scheme for small taxpayers, the e-invoicing system, the pre-filled editable GST returns, and staggering of returns filing. So the Honorable Finance Minister has also assured that the government shall take every possible measure to smoothen the GST further and would try its best to remove the anomalies such as the inverted duty structure which are currently existing in the GST structure. So under the Finance Bill 2021, 15 amendments have been proposed in the CGST Act and one amendment has been proposed under the IGST Act. So firstly, I will be discussing the proposed amendments under the CGST Act. So the first amendment has been made in Section 7 of the CGST Act, which deals with scope of supply. So in this regard, a new clause AA has been inserted by clause 99 of the Finance Bill 2021. So this clause has been retrospectively inserted with effect from 1st July 2017 so as to ensure the levy of tax on activities or transactions involving supply of goods or services by any person other than an individual to its members or constituents or vice versa for cash, deferred payments, or other valuable consideration. So it has also been proposed to insert an explanation in the said clause in order to clarify that the person or its members or constituents shall be deemed to be two separate persons and the supply of activities or transaction inter se shall be deemed to take place from one person to another. So it can be seen that by virtue of this proposed amendment, the principles of maturity have been done away with. It appears that this has been done post the recent judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Calcutta Club Limited, which pertains to the erstwhile service tax regime. So it was held by the Apex Court that there cannot be sale of goods or provision of services between private clubs, association, and its members, owing to the principle of mutuality, which treats such clubs and association and its members as the same person. So therefore, a retrospective amendment has been proposed by way of insertion of the said clause so as to ensure that the levy of tax on the amounts collected from the members towards the supply of goods and services are subject to GST. So further, consequent to the insertion of subclause AA in section 7, subsection 1 of the CGST Act, paragraph 7 of Schedule 2 to the CGST Act has also been omitted with effect from 1st July 2017. So moving on to the next amendment. So as per clause 100 of the Finance Bill 2021, section 16 of the CGST Act has been amended and a new clause AA has been inserted in subsection 2 so as to provide that input tax credit on invoice or debit note may be availed only when the details of such invoice or debit note has been furnished by the corresponding supplier in his statement of outward supplies. And further, such details have been duly communicated to the recipient of such invoice or debit note. So therefore, it can be seen that one more condition has been proposed to be added for determining the eligibility of input tax credit. So the input tax credit pertaining to an invoice or a debit note can be availed by a recipient only when details of such invoice or debit note has been furnished by the corresponding supplier in his respective GSTR1 and such details have been duly communicated to the recipient. So in other words, it can be seen that input tax credit shall only be available on the invoices which are appearing in GSTR 2A/2B of a recipient. So it is likely that insertion of subclause AA will make the recipient more dependent upon the corresponding supplier, since the input tax credit shall be available once the statement of outward supplies has been furnished by the supplier. So currently you must all be aware that subsection 5 of section 35 of the CGST Act provides for mandatory GST audit of a registered person whose aggregate turnover during a financial year exceeds the prescribed limit. So one of the major changes that has been made by clause 101 of the finance bill is that the mandatory requirement of getting the annual accounts audited and furnishing of reconciliation statement in form GSTR 9C by specified professionals has been done away with. So therefore, going forward, the taxpayers are not required to get the GST audit conducted from a practicing chartered accountant or a cost accountant. So moving on to the next slide. Section 44 of the CGST Act provides for furnishing of an annual return in form GSTR 9. So as per clause 102 of the finance bill, the said provision has been substituted for a new section in order to remove the mandatory requirement of furnishing a reconciliation statement duly audited by the specified professional. So as you can see, as per the new section, the taxpayer shall furnish for every financial year an annual return which may include a self-certified reconciliation statement. And therefore, there is no requirement of any certification of the reconciliation statement from a chartered accountant or a cost accountant. Further, the commissioner has been empowered to exempt any class of registered persons from filing of an annual return. So one of the most important amendments has been made under the GST legislation is under Section 50 of the CGST Act. So you all must be aware that Section 50 deals with the levy of interest on delayed payment of tax. So already a lot of litigation has taken place since the introduction of GST on the question that whether interest is applicable on the gross tax liability or the net tax liability. So now, by the Union Budget 2021, the law has been amended to give effect to the fact that interest liability shall be on the net tax payment, and that too retrospectively with effect from 1st July 2017. So with this retrospective amendment, the issue will now finally settle. So reference can be made to clause 103 of the finance bill for this amendment. Moving on to the next slide, the next amendment has been made under Section 74 of the CGST Act so as to make seizure and confiscation of goods and conveyance in transit a separate proceeding from the recovery of tax. Therefore, post the proposed amendment, conclusion of proceedings under Section 73 or Section 74 will lead to deemed conclusion of proceedings only under Section 122 and 125, but not the proceedings under Section 129 and Section 130 of the CGST Act. So it would be apt to note that before the proposed amendment, even the proceedings of Section 129 and Section 130 were deemed to be concluded on conclusion of proceedings under Section 73 or 74. So further, clause 105 of the finance bill seeks to amend Section 75 of the CGST Act so as to insert an explanation to subsection 12 of Section 75. So in this regard, the ambit of the term self-assessed tax has been widened by the proposed amendment. So now going forward, the recovery can be initiated by the proper officer, not only for the tax payable as per the return furnished under Section 39 of the CGST Act, but also for the outward supply liability disclosed in GSTR 1, which is furnished under Section 37 of the CGST Act. So another important amendment that has been made in the GST legislation is under Section 83 of the CGST Act. So Section 83 of the CGST Act deals with provisional attachment to protect revenue in certain cases. So clause 106 of the finance bill seeks to substitute subsection 1 of Section 83 of the CGST Act. So the proposed amendment has widened the power of the GST authorities, wherein the provisional attachment can now be made to any property, including a bank account belonging to a taxable person or any person specified in Section 122, subclause 1A of the CGST Act. So it would be worthwhile to note that persons specified in Section 122, 1A of the CGST Act are the one who causes to commit specified offences and thereby retains the benefit arising out of such offences. So further, by this said amendment, it has been proposed that such provisional attachment shall remain for the entire period, starting from the initiation of any proceedings under Chapter 12, under Chapter 14, or under Chapter 15 of the CGST Act, and the said proceedings shall last till the expiry of a period of 1 year from the date of provisional order, which is made under subsection 1 of Section 83 of the CGST Act. So the next amendment has been made under Section 107, subsection 6. So clause 107 of the bill seeks to insert a new proviso in subsection 6 of Section 107 of the CGST Act, so as to provide that no appeal shall be filed against an order made under subsection 3 of Section 129 unless a sum equal to 25% of the penalty has been paid by the appellant. So therefore, it can be seen that mandatory pre-deposit amounting to 25% of the penalty amount has been proposed for filing appeal against a detention or a seizure order passed by the proper officer under Section 129 of the CGST Act. So prior to the amendment, the pre-deposit was only to the extent of 10% of the disputed tax liability. So the next slide deal with the amendment that are made by clause 108 of the Finance Bill 2021. So another important amendment has been proposed wherein clause A and clause B of subsection 1 of section 129 has been substituted. So the proposed amendment under clause A seeks to increase the payment of penalty from 100% to 200% of tax payable on such goods for releasing of detained or seized goods and conveyance. So prior to the amendment, the tax and penalty was equal to 100% each, which was equal to the tax payable on goods, and the same was required to be paid for release of detained or seized goods and conveyance. Further, the proposed amendment under clause B seeks to amend the options for release of detained or seized goods and conveyance for taxable goods where the owner does not come forward to pay the penalty amount. So in this regard, the detained or seized goods and conveyance can be released on payment of either penalty equal to 50% of value of goods or 200% of tax payable on such goods, whichever is higher. So therefore, the penalty provisions have been revised under clause A and clause B of section 129, subsection 1 of the CGST Act. So further, as you can see the screen, subsection 2 of section 129 has been proposed to be omitted by the Finance Bill. So now, after the proposed amendment, the conveyance and goods detained and seized by the proper officer cannot be released on a provisional basis upon execution of a bond and furnishing of a security. So the penalty which is imposed by the proper officer will now have to be paid in cash by the taxpayer. So therefore, benefit of the of execution of bond and furnishing of security cannot be availed going forward. So another amendment that has been proposed is the substitution of the subsection 3 of section 129. So in this regard, a time limit of 7 days from detention or seizure of goods or conveyance has been provided to the proper officer for specifying the penalty payable and thereafter passing an order within a period of 7 days from the date of service of such notice for payment of penalty. Further, subsection 4 of section 129 has also been substituted, and going forward, for release of conveyance and goods, only penalty shall be imposed. The tax and interest shall not be demanded for release of goods and conveyance. So the last amendment that has been proposed under section 129 of the CGST Act has been that if the person transporting any goods or the owner of the goods does not pay tax and penalty within 14 days of detention or seizure, the conveyance and goods detained or seized are liable for confiscation in accordance with provisions of section 130 of the CGST Act. So before the amendment, there was a linkage between section 129 and 130 of the CGST Act. However, now Section 129 of the CGST Act relating to detention, seizure, and release of goods and conveyance in transit has been delinked with the proceedings under Section 130 of the CGST Act, which deals with confiscation of goods or conveyances and levy of penalty. So after the proposed amendment, the goods or conveyance detained or seized shall become liable to be sold or disposed of in the manner prescribed in case the payment of penalty imposed is not made within 15 days from the date of receipt of copy of the order imposing such penalty. So furthermore, it would be apt to note that a relief has been provided with respect to release of conveyance on payment of the prescribed penalty by the transporter. So these were the broad amendments under Section 129 of the CGST Act, which have been carried out by Clause 108 of the Finance Bill. So the next amendment has been made under Section 130 of the CGST Act. So as I just told you that proceedings under Section 129 relating to detention, seizure, and release of goods and conveyance in transit have been delinked from the proceedings under Section 130, which relates to confiscation of goods and conveyance. So reference can be made to Clause 109 of the Finance Bill for this amendment. So the next slide deals with the proposed amendments under Section 151 and 152 of the CGST Act. So as you can see, Section 151 has been substituted so as to empower the jurisdictional commissioner to call for information from any person relating to any matters in connection with the CGST Act. So further, subclause 1 of Section 152 has been substituted, and on account of such amendment, now going forward, no information shall be obtained under Section 150 and Section 151 of the CGST Act unless a proper opportunity have been provided to the concerned person. So moving on, as I told you earlier, only one amendment has been proposed under the IGST Act. So such amendments have been carried out by virtue of Clause 1140 of the Finance Bill 2021. The first amendment has been made under Section 16, subsection 1, Clause B of the IGST Act, and it has been provided that supply of goods or services to a special economic zone developer or a special economic zone unit shall qualify as a zero-rated supply only when the same is for authorized operations. So going forward, only those supply of goods or services to a SEZ shall be treated as zero-rated supply only when such supplies are for authorized operations. So further, subsection 3 of section 16 of the IGST Act has now been substituted by clause 114 of the Finance Bill. So prior to the proposed substitution, a registered person making zero-rated supply had an option to claim refund under two options. The first option was that export can be made upon payment of IGST, and such IGST can be subsequently claimed. The second option was to export the goods and services without payment of tax under bond or LUT, and subsequent claim of refund of unutilized ITC could have been made. So after the proposed amendment, only the notified class of taxpayers and notified class of goods or services are eligible for claiming refund in case the goods services are supplied outside India upon payment of taxes. Further, another amendment has been proposed is that proviso to subsection 3 mandates a registered person making zero-rated supply of goods that he shall be liable to deposit the refund of IGST along with applicable interest in case of non-realization of sale proceeds within the prescribed time period. So therefore, payment of goods exported outside India should be received in foreign convertible exchange so that the same qualifies as export of services and the benefit of refund is not denied to the taxpayers. So these were the broad amendments which have been proposed under the CGST Act and IGST Act. So to conclude, I would say that now GST has already been triggered with various changes since its introduction, and the original structure seems to be taking a new shape. So the need of the hour is that government should make efforts to further smoothen the GST process and remove any complexities that exist in the current GST structure. So trust the video and the presentation was informative. For any clarification, you may please note down my contact details. Thank you.